Talking of corruption, there is a government's July deadline for ban on cash transaction. I'm thinking that will go a long way to curb especially even corruption when it comes to police officers.
Yes. Well, you see, what happened is corruption is two-way, because there is the giver and the taker. The thinking of the government is gradually two things. It is beneficial to the operator that whatever amount of money that is paid is actually wired electronically directly to his account, so that even the crew that are running this vehicle can have less motivation in keeping some of this money, because we have had incidents where most of the money end up with the crew instead of the owner. So the owners of these vehicles should see the benefit of this and grab it quickly. Then the other issue is, we have seen from experience that those companies which do not encourage cash, where payments of fares is done at the offices, there is less corruption because there is no money to give. Hopefully, if we remove the cash out of the road, it will help us to tame these issues of corruption that we are having on our roads.
There is, of course, more feedback here. Somebody says, what's being done about pedestrians who don't observe the highway code? Whenever a pedestrian is hit, the driver of the vehicle is at fault. Why is this so? Somebody else says, of course, I'm one of the people who like using footbridges, but some footbridges are not usable. Case in point, the one at Makadara Nairobi West roundabout, it's been turned into a toilet by homeless men. Who's responsible for cleaning such a mess? And some of those footbridges and bridges, are a bit high. They cannot be accessed by people with disabilities.
I mean, pose a security risk as well.
Yes. I think the initial designs, if you look at the Thika superhighway, the design has been changed. I will agree, yes, that there are some like the one in Makadara that has been mentioned, around Kibera, that area.
Yes.
The bridge is very high, making it very difficult for most people to climb it over. So the designs have issues. We are looking at this with the road authorities so that they can be redesigned, so that they are user-friendly. So that the gradient at least is picking up gradually instead of being very steep. And those are issues we are looking for. There are other bridges that are being constructed along Mombasa, Mombasa Road, and I think those ones are the designs are much different, so that they are more friendly to users. But we still encourage people, despite them being unfriendly, it is safer to use that bridge, footbridge, than to expose and have the risk of being crushed.
Do you need a reflector during the day? Do you need a helmet when riding at 20 kilometers per hour when it is sweltering hot? Practical.
You see, you must evaluate and say, where is the risk?
Yes.
You can be very comfortable, but the next thing you are injured, you are in hospital, critically injured, with a spinal injury. So where is the risk? I would rather sweat than expose myself to death. So these are some of the things that we have to agree that there must be sacrifices that people must make.
And then what are you doing about handcuffs, gogotenis, which block roads, and are they allowed on the roads?
You see, we don't regulate that.
Especially in Nairobi. Actually, in major urban centers.
We want to engage with the county governments, because the law is very clear. There's they can be allowed to operate within some hours. Let's say very early in the morning, and thereafter they should not be allowed, because they are slow, they cause traffic jam, all this manner of things. So I think to me the bottom line boils up is effective enforcement of laws.
Yes. Yeah. Before Bukazi comes on, the other day the police said that border people should not operate after 6. Is that going to impede movement? 24-hour economy? I mean, a lot of questions have been raised about that.
We must also appreciate that there are security concerns, that this sector also has been used by crooked persons to perpetuate crimes. So I think that is from a security perspective.
But from a transport perspective, the country needs to move.
The country needs to move, but we also need safety. So we must strike the balance. Where is the balance? That is the question we need to be asking.
Yes. Perhaps just your general comment in relation to what happened in Nairobi just about 2 days ago.
Yes.
Where PSV operators decided to go on strike simply because of hefty parking fees. What is your take? Generally from what county governments are doing in a way to perhaps decongest the city and also to raise revenues.
I think, to me, in the case of what happened recently, it's an issue that I think dialogue needs to be embraced. Some of these, when these regulations and new fees are introduced, it's good to engage the sector that are involved. But more importantly also, what we saw is unfortunate, because you cannot trample on my rights as you pursue yours. And we want to encourage the PSV operators that it is irresponsible for them to inconvenience other road users with the excuse that they are fighting for their rights. Obstruction of roads, deflating vehicles, it's unfortunate. And I think, to me, what we need to do is that if there is a problem, let's sit down and negotiate. Let's sit down and talk. Because some of this confrontation will never lead to anything meaningful.
But the trouble is, and in fact this falls squarely within your docket, I mean, this public transport sector in Kenya is in the hands of cartels. Even as you say, people must belong to fleets. You're trying to professionalize or manage them better, but still those companies are operating like cartels. So they can paralyze public transport anytime they want. Their orderliness on the road is, they are a law unto themselves. How will you manage that aspect of just order within the public transport sector?
I think one of the issues that we are trying to address here is we are trying to introduce an element of self-regulation to these PSVs, so that they can have some responsibility and the ability to take action on some of these things. What we are saying, for instance, you must demonstrate that you have a number of fleet. What is currently happening, we have people who are in charge of this sector who do not even own a single matatu. So their interest is not there, obviously. So we are also saying that going forward, if a particular company or circle messes up, the entire license of all the fleet that is registered under them will be cancelled. So if you have a fleet of 30 vehicles and it is seen that you are misbehaving, you are breaking the rules, we are giving you a certificate or a license subject to conditions. If you don't fulfill those conditions, we pull out the license. So the entire fleet is grounded. So we are telling people, take responsibility, employ people you have control over, and let's remove these cartels out of the PSV sector.
Mr. Meja, I think you have the biggest job in the country. I'm sure probably in my assessment you have the biggest job, bigger than the anti-corruption, ethics and anti-corruption commission, because transport sector and roads in this country, if you just look at what is coming in, we will have opportunity to pass all these messages to you, but I'll just read this one. There is this roadblock in Kisumu town next to industrial police booth. Visitors from the international airport are delayed in traffic stretching over 2 kilometers as police officers take 50 shillings from PSV vehicles. Police forces pass by and there's nothing that goes on. Somebody else says, in Voi, people are just getting stickers without taking vehicles for inspection. I mean, of course, you are aware of these things. Even in your previous work, before you took up this job, this has been going on for some time. What are the radical things that people expect in the next, as you say, 100 days? That we are going to say, watch, you'll see this, you'll see this, you'll see this, as we tie up this interview?
I think the first thing, we'll be very keen to implement the regulations that we have put in place, because they will bring some sanity as we move forward in the PSV sector. I also want to say that a critical decision was made some times back. All the previous motor vehicle inspectors were gazetted. We have a fresh lot right now, all of them. Because we want to begin from a clean slate. We also want to encourage the public. Please don't shy away from pointing out all these issues. We will attend to them, we will address them, and we will not condone what has been happening previously. The other thing that we'll be very keen to try and make and possibly fulfill as soon as possible is to start automating some of these processes, so that we can have efficiency. Even the way enforcement is done, we will embark on it, because this sector, the investment in modernizing this sector has been very minimal. So we want to make sure that automation will help us, so that as much as possible, confirmation of this document becomes easy and available to everyone else who want to confirm. Those some of these we will be able to do as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we have to end there. I think Mr. Francis Meja, the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, 1 month old in office, a lot of work to do. And Makazi, thank you very much for sitting in for Mutegi Njao.
Thank you.
Keep watching Citizen Breakfast.